Boom, baby. Let's go. Another boom breakdown coming here for you. We got UFC Ottawa coming up, and we are prepared. We got a boomachino. Don't fucking get it twisted. It's delicious. It's delicious. Um, yeah, we got Iaquinta versus Donald Cerrone. Two guys that really interesting matchup. Really intriguing to me. To see where Iaquinta sits after that Kevin Lee performance was amazing, and you got a guy like Cowboy Cerrone who is just on fire lately, looking like a fucking man possessed ever since he had his kid. It seems like he's more focused, more motivated, and he's just looking better than ever. The last win against Hernandez, who's a young killer, was very impressive. The guy put it on him early, and he was able to weather that storm and start to just deliver, man. Solid knees in the clinch, dropped him, finished him off ground and pound on the ground. I was actually at that fight. It was just amazing to see the crowd. What a fan favorite, too. The crowd loves the guy. So it's a really good fight, really big fight in the division for 155. This division's hot right now. We obviously got Khabib and Dustin Poirier scheduled to fight most likely September, it looks like, in Abu Dhabi. And with that said, a lot of people are asking where this fight puts both of these guys. If whoever wins the fight, where does it put them? Now, in my opinion, it's hard to say because you got a guy like Tony Ferguson who's like sitting on the side. We're kind of waiting to see if everything's good with his head, if he's 100%, if he's back in the action. And we got a guy like Connor as well, who's on the side. Is he coming back? Does he have to? He's got the whiskey business. And who's he going to fight next if he comes back? It seems like he still wants to fight, but we don't know what the truth is these days with these guys. We don't know when things get announced whether or not it's a guarantee or if it's just kind of a ploy or if it's a business move or whatever. So, another sip. It's really hard to know these days what's the truth and what's going on until things are signed, sealed, delivered, and finalized. But, you know, with Iaquinta versus Cowboy though, let me turn that off. You got two guys that are in their prime, really. Obviously, Cowboy's a little bit older, but Iaquinta looked very impressive against Kevin Lee. He shut him down, and he was pressuring, moving forward, avoiding strikes, slipping and hitting, and man, he busted him up there. I think he kind of broke him a little bit, and that's kind of like what Iaquinta's MO is. Like, that guy just breaks guys because he's just so mentally strong that when the fight gets tough and the rounds are going on and it's third and fourth round, he's getting better and better, and guys are like, fuck, man, I gotta deal with this. You hope a guy slows down, or you hope a guy kind of gives you an opening of some sort. But Iaquinta is a guy that just, like, as the rounds go on, the guy just keeps getting better and better. And you can forget gauging who he is with the fight against Khabib. That's not really a good marker. Obviously, he took the fight on extremely short notice, wasn't able to prepare directly for that person. And, yeah, he had a 3-round fight. That's a 5-round fight. And he did pretty well with all those circumstances. So you can't really gauge him with that fight, how he would look if he was to get a rematch against Khabib. I think it'd be a little bit different. I think he'd look a lot better and be a lot more well prepared. So you can't really, use that fight as like a gauge of like where he is if he was to fight for the title against Khabib again. But with Cowboy Cerrone, obviously we got a guy that has better kicks. Iaquinta's not known to use his kicks as much, but he is known to use boxing and wrestling. He's more of a boxer wrestler, so he wants to get a little bit more close inside because he's going to have a little bit of a reach disadvantage. And Cowboy's got those long legs, and he gets those head kicks up there very sneaky, so you got to be careful for that. He sets them up really well with the hands, and he uses his range well. And man, I'm interested to see if Cowboy decides to take the fight to the ground, or try to at least, because his jiu-jitsu's solid. I mean, the guy submits a lot of good people. He takes people's backs very clean. He's got nasty triangles off his back. If he can create a scramble and cause some jiu-jitsu exchanges, I wonder how that would look. I know Iaquinta is very well versed on the ground as well, more of a wrestling style, but he's very good at jiu-jitsu too. He goes for some nice techniques. He's not much of a submission artist, but I know he has it in his back pocket if he needs to use it. I would say if the fight hit the ground, Cerrone has the edge a little bit with finishing techniques and abilities to kind of create a submission. But standing wise and durability wise, I feel like Iaquinta has the edge. I mean, looking back at past fights, you really don't see Iaquinta ever break in fights, no matter what happens. I mean, look how he dealt with the Khabib situation. If you want to take one positive thing from that and really look and see what kind of character he has, going in there short notice, preparing for a 3-round fight, you're in a 5-round fight, and the guy mauls everybody. I mean, Iaquinta actually made it tough for Khabib. He was getting up. When he was getting taken down, he wasn't getting stuck for too long underneath him like everyone else. He was getting back up to his feet. He was creating scrambles. He was creating better positions than a lot of other guys do against Khabib, and that's impressive, man, especially not being prepared. So, with that said, Iaquinta is not a guy that will ever break. He will not slow down, and you will not see him fade away during the rounds. And Cerrone, on the other hand, in the past, has been a guy that you could kind of get in his head a little bit and see a change in the fight. If he's not having a good night, sometimes he does start to fade a little bit as the fight goes on. Now, I don't think that Donald Cerrone is the one we're seeing nowadays. I think that we're seeing the best Donald Cerrone there's ever been. And I think that just makes for an amazing fight, an amazing matchup. I don't think the fight will end up on the ground. I think it will stay standing for the majority of the fight. I don't know if Iaquinta would look to use his wrestling to take Cerrone down, knowing he's dangerous off his back and he does have a lot of submission wins. So it might not be like the smartest game plan for him, but I would think if anybody wanted it down on the floor at any point, it would be Cerrone, knowing that he has submitted guys and he has those abilities to get the back or land a triangle or arm bar, whatever it may be. But standing up, it's kind of a close fight. It's just different styles. Cerrone's going to have those head kicks, those leg kicks, and the advantage in that area, and of course the clinch, I feel, with the knees. But Iaquinta is going to have the boxing advantage and the angles and the power. He has power in that right hand. He has a very good pressure game, and he knows how to find his range. Man, he knows how to find the chin. He'll take his time. He's patient, but he'll find you. And in this fight, I think that will play a role. I think that it's going to be a very back and forth, even striking exchange. Different styles with the boxing versus the Muay Thai style of Cerrone, but I think ultimately someone's going to have to slow down and break, and I just feel like Cowboy is probably the one that would do that first. I just don't see Iaquinta ever taking a back step, so it's really hard to pick this fight because of how amazing Cerrone's looked as of late. But if I have to make a pick, I'm going to go with Long Island, Strong Island, baby. I'm going to go with Iaquinta. I think he's going to get it by decision, though. I think it's going to go the 5 rounds. I just think that he's going to pick up, and Cerrone's going to start to slow a little bit as the rounds go on towards the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So I'm going to give the decision to Iaquinta. Derek Brunson versus Elias Theodorou. Elias Theodorou is one of those fighters that, like, if you want to call anybody a point fighter, I think he's your guy. He's like the ultimate, like, bouncing around, moving around, sticking jab kicks out there, and just going side to side and creating angles. And it's just like so hard to find the guy. I think he frustrates a lot of guys. And Brunson is a guy that, like, gets really wild in there. He kind of loses patience and just bum rushes guys, and I think that gets him in trouble. I think that's going to play into Elias Theodorou's game. I think he likes if guys try to just run forward, because he's going to be moving side to side and sticking kicks at you, front teebs, side kicks, all kinds of leg kicks, different techniques that he uses to keep you at bay. And Brunson's obviously going to want to put hands on him. I think he's got power in his hands. He's knocked guys out before, but he gets a little sloppy in the process, and I think that's going to be his downfall in this fight against Elias Theodorou. I don't think Elias will finish him, and I don't think Brunson will finish Elias. He's just too hard to hit, it seems. So I think this fight will go to decision as well, and I'm going to give it to Elias Theodorou by decision. I mean, Brunson has the wrestling, too. If he's smart, I think he would try to grind and look for some takedowns. You got to back Elias up to the cage and slow his game down and stop his movement if you want to score, a takedown or land a big strike. So if he's smart, I think he'll try to close the distance, get inside, get the clinch, try to land a takedown and win that way. But I think Elias is too evasive. I think he'll get the decision by points. Cub Swanson, Shane Burgos. Really good fight in the featherweight division, man. Cub Swanson, I think he's coming off like 3 losses, which is crazy. He's just one of those pioneers in the sport. He came from the WEC days, and he's got a really exciting style. So I think the UFC will always love him and try to keep him around. But what an opportunity for Shane Burgos here to take advantage of, the come up right now. He's young. He's had some great performances in there. He's got very good boxing. Obviously trained at Tiger Schulman's. They got a good system there. It seems a lot of good guys coming out of that gym. So Shane Burgos is a guy going to be in your face. He's going to be using his boxing, his head movement to be slipping while he's moving inside and catching you with those big hooks, overhand rights, big uppercuts, and he's a hard guy to take down. I think this fight will stay standing as well. Obviously, Cub Swanson is a very flashy, unpredictable type of striker and fighter, and he throws some crazy techniques in there. So we'll see what he's bringing. We'll see what kind of Cub Swanson we have. Hopefully, this is a big fight for him. He's got his back against the wall. He's fighting a young, hungry lion, and he's coming off 3 losses. So that's when a guy's real fucking dangerous. You know what I mean? When they know job's on the line. He's going to leave it all out there, I'm sure. And that's going to be a fight of the night potential right there, in my opinion. I don't know if this fight will go decision. I think we will see a finish in this fight. Obviously, I think Cub Swanson's had some submissions in his career so far, and I think maybe he could look to mix things up and try to get some takedowns. But Burgos not an easy guy to take down, and he seems to be strong and big for the weight class as well. So we'll see what happens, man. I think I got to go with the young lion, though. I think Burgos is he's coming to kill, man. He's a fucking savage, and he's got a lot of power, and he's moving forward the whole fight. And I think he's going to be able to get a touch Cub Swanson. I think he's not going to get overwhelmed by the unpredictability and the fancy, flashy striking of Cub Swanson. I think he's going to, stay patient, but get inside and land that hard shot and come out with the TKO victory for Shane Burgos. And that would be 4 in a row for Swanson, so that's tough, man. Brad Katona, Merab Davalishvili. I could tell you firsthand from training with Merab, he's a tank. I think they call him the machine, and that's very fitting because the guy don't stop. He's got a very awkward striking style, but his movement is very unpredictable too. He's very bouncy and kind of like loose and herky-jerky style, but it's very effective. One of his big strengths, I feel, is setting up takedowns. He's very good at tricking you into thinking he's coming in for strikes, and he's underneath you, taking you down. And he's relentless. The guy does not stop. He takes you down, you get up. He takes you down, you get up. He takes you down. I mean, he doesn't stop trying to win positions, win the points. He doesn't stop with his ground and pound. He doesn't stop moving. You got to have a lot of energy to fight that guy. And you really got to hurt him to stop his pace. His pace is very high output. I believe he's got one of the records for most takedowns landed in a round. I think it's 10 takedowns. Fucking nonsense, crazy. But yeah, Brad Katona's looking good at bantamweight. He's moved down from featherweight. He's coming off a big win off of Lopez, which I think he submitted him last second, pretty much put him to sleep. I think they still called it a decision because the bell rang. But he looked good in that fight. He looked poised. He looked strong. Short, stocky, very evenly sized matchup here. I just would give the edge to Merab, because he's just relentless and hard to deal with, man. And I don't know if this guy could deal. I don't know if this guy knows what's coming. You know what I mean? I don't know if he understands, because Merab is not like Lopez. Lopez is a longer southpaw who likes to stick his jabs and use leg kicks, but Merab is just gonna maul you, kind of like Khabib, but obviously a little bit different. Not the same style, but the same kind of idea of what he wants to do to guys, just constant pressure and constant output. So I almost feel bad for this guy that has to fight Khabib, because I know what it's like, man. The guy's a savage. I gotta go. I mean Merab. Sorry, I gotta go with Merab by. I'm gonna go decision. I don't know if he'll get the finish, but I think he'll overwhelm Katona with these takedowns and ground and pound. And Merab's very hard to hit, so I don't think Katona's going to land anything big on him. And I think Merab will out wrestle him and get the decision victory. Moving down, we'll make some quick picks, and then we'll get to some fan questions. Walt Harris, Sergey Spivak. I'm going with Walt Harris by KO. Marc-Andre Baralt versus Andrew Sanchez. I'll go with Andrew Sanchez by decision. We got Macy Chasen versus Sarah Morais. I will go with Macy Chasen, who's looked very good in the weight class. I will go by TKO victory for her. Ayman Zahabi versus Vincent Morales. I'll go with Zahabi by decision. Norleen Taleb versus Kyle Prepelic. I will go with Norleen Taleb by KO. Kyle Nelson versus Matt Sales. I will go with Matt Sales by decision. Arjun Bowler versus Juan Adams. I don't know. Heavyweights here. I'm going to go with Juan Adams by TKO. And Mitch Gagnon versus Cole Smith. Mitch, who I was supposed to fight. Fucking breaks my heart. I wish I was on this card. I had to deal with an injury. Still, fully recovering and everything like that. So, starting to feel a lot better though. Should be getting back into training camp, full training camp soon. Hopefully we can still make it happen. I know Cole Smith's a newcomer. Both Canadians. Mitch Gagnon's been out for like 2 years, and I think you never know how much of a factor that plays. But Cole Smith seems to have the right attitude. I think he'll get the job done. I think he's been more active lately. He definitely doesn't have the experience. Mitch has the experience. He's fought guys like Barral, Lopez, but being out for so long, having knee surgeries could play a factor. So I'll go with Cole Smith by submission. And let's get to some fan questions from Full Contact Radio. The winner of Iaquinta vs. Cowboy will enter the upper echelon of lightweight. However, that doesn't mean it guarantees them anything because of how logjammed the division is. Who do you think the winner of the main event will face next? Ferguson, Gaethje, who do you think? I don't even know. Ferguson split ways with his management. We all know he was under the same management as Conor. And I think that a lot of people are speculating that means that, he might fight Conor now. That could be possible. I don't know. I don't think that's a great matchup for Conor to come back and try to get a win and stay relevant. I really don't. Conor will probably fight anybody, but it's probably not the smartest choice. I think that Gaethje versus Ferguson is an amazing fight to make, matchup style-wise. That is a fight that is just... That fight's for the guy who wears the T-shirt that says "Just Bleed" and just screams. You know what I mean? Like, that's for like savage fans right there. That's an epic matchup. I'd love to see that fight, but we don't know, man. The division's weird right now because whoever wins between Cerrone and Iaquinta, especially if it's a big, impressive performance. I mean, we got to imagine one of those guys is right there for a title, but you got Ferguson who kind of has leeway over both of those guys because he's been out, but he was the interim champion and slipped on a fucking wire and lost his belt. You know what I mean? It's like you got to give the guy his chance. I mean, I know him and Khabib fell through like 3 times. Everyone wants to see that fight still. We got to see what happens with Khabib and Poirier, but I don't want to see Ferguson get fucking shortchanged. Maybe because he's been out for a while, maybe he should get back in there with one, a number one contender fight and see who comes out victorious to get the title fight. But I'd like to see them match up Gaethje and Ferguson, and then I'd like to see, maybe the winner of Cerrone and Iaquinta get Conor. I think that seems to be more feasible, makes more sense for styles. Nobody cares if they don't get a title fight. If they get the Conor fight, that's almost just as good, pretty much. But these days, the way the pay-per-view plays out, I don't know. But if you get a main event slot, yeah, you probably get paid a little more, bigger money to fight Conor. So nobody's mad if they get the Conor fight, let's be honest. So yeah, I would like to see that. Ferguson versus Gaethje, the winner of Cerrone, and Iaquinta versus Conor next. That kind of sets up a little bit of a tournament where we see who kind of emerges as the number one contender to fight either Khabib or Ferguson or Poirier. So that makes sense to me. I'd like to see that. What else we got? Let's see. Who do I see as the winner in this next main event for UFC Ottawa? I already went over this. I got Iaquinta by decision. Pressure, unbreakable, power in his hands, on fire. Strong Island, baby. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's some new matchups that came out too. Let's see what we got here for new matchups. We got Moicano versus Korean Zombie. That's a sick fight right there. Korean Zombie with that epic fight against how could I forget? How could I forget the Mexican guy? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but yeah, I could see his face right now, but I can't get his name. I don't know why, but amazing fucking elbow. Crazy knockout loss, man. I don't know. Korean Zombie's coming back to fight Moicano. Very evenly matched. That's obviously going to be mostly a striking war again. So, excited to see how that plays out. That's a crazy fight right there. Randa Marcos and Claudia Gadelha. That's a good fight for the women's division over there. Marcos looked good in her last fight. Barberina versus Randy Brown. Barberina, very impressive against Vincent St. Luque, man. That guy's a savage. He's got a chin like crazy, taking crazy shots, delivering shots. Very underestimated guy, But just a grinder, a really tough guy. Who else? That's about it, man. So, Brock's retired, they say. Who the hell knows if that's true? Looks like they're trying to make the Daniel Cormier-Stipe rematch. I think that's great, For that's the real sport fight right there that we should see. I think that it's cool. It's crazy how Stipe waited out for that long and actually got what he was waiting for. Usually that doesn't happen. They want to see you fight. They want to see you, keep getting wins and earn your way back pretty much. But he's like waiting out, and it just so happens Brock retires and he gets his chance. Lucky draw right there. But I am excited to see Stipe against DC again, just to see. It's probably a hard fight for DC to get up for. Knocked him out very fast, and so tough to come back and have to face a guy that you put out real quick like that. But no one really deserves it more than Stipe. He's put his dues in. He defended the belt, as a heavyweight more times than anyone, I think. And It's going to be a good fight. I think Stipe is going to come out guns blazing, man. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to get that revenge back. So look forward to that. We'll be back for the next Boom Breakdown for the next card, of course. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, BrianBoom135. Check out my new music. Shout out to Kingston Coffee. We got a mixtape coming, baby. Boom. I'm going to be getting my music out on Spotify. I'm working on a mixtape, we're dropping some singles soon, and stay tuned for that. I'm going to try to get a new music video going as well to get up on YouTube. And yeah, thanks for the follow. Give me the thumbs up. Give me the subscription. Give me all your fucking money. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. Boom!